the game mode is tedious. The solo duo experience doesn't exist. This might begin the game's steady decline. Wow. This is something right here. When one of your top content creators is slowly pulling away and maybe even on the verge of giving up on your game, you gotta say that there's something wrong here. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to a new video. This is more of a discussion video towards season 6 of what I played so far from the test version of it. And I'll discuss specific points, cover each topic, and give you guys an idea of what you're going to be expecting for this new season, release date June 30th. So from what I played so far, first off, I listed here is PvE. It's called Hostile Sector now, and for me, it's a miss. Because although they did take in the feedback, they took all of the ideas and applied their spin on it. I think the only thing that they got right is they made the bots a lot harder, more challenging, but at times they're more annoying than like challenging. Like they're very tedious. There's a challenge factor, yes. Like you take them seriously. You don't just ignore them. You don't even like risk knifing them. You can't do that anymore. They're a threat now. They're a threat in your raids, but at times they're unreasonably strong. Like for example, you are only visible by like a small margin. They can still pinpoint accurately hit you for some reason. And that's like a full spray, which is much scarier. So there's like a fine line where they need to be challenging, but they also need to be realistic because with how they behave, they're very robotic. They're very like precise. And we want to emulate a similar experience of a PvP player or like a player versus player experience where like the aiming has to have a room for error. But since we're dealing with AI, it's always going to be precise. It's always going to be exact. Whereas with a human factor, there's room for error. So it's kind of hard to emulate, but I think they can still do it if they need to tweak it a bit to make it more at least in a way realistic. It's also a big miss that the loot is horrible. It's more of a reflection of the entirety of the game, as loot hasn't really been in a good spot for like the past seasons. Like it's terrible. We often get like these we're gonna buff the loot for this specific amount of time. We're gonna buff the loot in the first week of the season. But why not just improve the loot as a whole for the entirety of it? You can tell that they have like an on and off switch for these loot RNG, where sometimes you get a lot of good loot and most of the time it's trash purples or blue. I don't know. Again, this trickles into the PvE hostile sector where the loot is horrible. It's difficult enough that this requires a ticket or at least a payment, which is unreasonably high. And you have to risk good gear to be able to survive the bots because the AI here will potentially destroy your armor in one go. I have this footage, like I think playing on the background, where I had to wear tier 6 armor and I think just a tier 4 helmet because of the limit. And I had to see how long I could survive with this armor in Northridge Hotel. I'm not even way up on the top floor and my armor is like almost zero already. These AI, they'll just melt it because when you're leaning, they'll only target what they see, and most of the time we tend to expose our bodies, right? Our shoulders or even sometimes our head or helmets. So they can easily pinpoint these like parts and destroy your armor in a snap. Like that's so fast. If you factor in how much you brought in with your armor, with your weapon, with your bullets, it's already so much of a expense on your end, and the loot you get doesn't even match that. It doesn't even break even, which makes you kind of think, why would I even try this mode? Why would I even play this? What's the incentive? What's my reward in playing this mode? People might just try this for like once, twice, thrice, and just shelve it. They're not gonna play it anymore, to be honest. Next point will be new weapons, the Banshee and the T-88. I do appreciate that they have new weapons every season, which should be a standard, but these weapons are pretty underwhelming. we have this like select few weapons that are actually good. We call them meta weapons that if you don't use these weapons most of their times in your raids, you will lose because you're not using the strongest weapon. And even though they added this, the T88 with ultra high, but it's a DMR, then the Banshee with like some of the best ammo, they're still not good enough to like compete against the meta. And this connects towards the 191 nerfs, the Chinese rifles, which they got nerfed like a bit, but it's barely noticeable. They're still good. They're still pretty strong, and I don't see them falling off the meta with these nerfs that they applied. So the 191 brothers will still be dominating your lobbies. A few things that I do appreciate is the airport redesign. Not really like a full redesign, but they added a few things here and there to make the map more like appealing to look at, more entryways as well to get into. So a map update, a small design update is definitely appreciated. Another thing we could appreciate is new ammo pieces. We have the Dragon's Breath, just like comically funny, but the shotguns are still terrible. But if you can manage to pull off using these bullets in close range, you'll have a good time with it. And also the .45 tier 4 ammo, which is also good, makes the 45 weapons more viable now in some of your raids. But again, when I do say viable, doesn't make it like the best choice. They're still gonna fall under the meta. So although yes, it adds a bit more variety, but let's be honest here, the .45 weapons are a bit trash. Like aside from the vector, there's nothing else good to use because of its RPM, right? New modes, like they're gonna add melee mode on TV. So it's not really new, but they're also adding a supply drop mode. It's like another version or a new identity of the Warlord tournament where it's called supply drop and you play in airport. Basically, you play in four teams, and whoever has the most loot value before the raid ends or the timer ends is the winner. And how much you have collected as a team, it will be all disseminated or distributed to all the members. So it's a fun mode, very short though. Like I think we only played it 20 minutes per raid. You have pre-selected loadouts as well for this. Like you get to play different kinds of play styles as well. Personally, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's a breath of fresh air. But again, it falls under the underlying problems that the game has. Again, it's appreciated, but it's kind of being derailed by these issues. Especially one of factor is the poor matchmaking. Because automatch, it has worked a couple of times, but most of the time it still does not. I feel like it's still the same version of it with the past seasons. I'm just confused because they said they're paying attention to this, but they still haven't fixed it for some reason. Like again, we are willing to wait longer queue times just to get a full team or whatever because whether you like it or not, this game is squad dominant. There's no enjoyable experience for a solo or duo. Next point here is that Distorted Valley and Snowy Northridge are both untouched. They're still gonna be in the season. I don't think they're gonna be changing this for maybe a season or two. So you're gonna see Valley stay the same. You're gonna see Snowtridge stay the same as well. Because I'm just thinking of the mobile version of how long they have Northridge being in snow. They might do the same here for PC. So that's gonna be a long winter for us. One of the highlights of this season 6 is that attachment stripping, like pre-raid preparations, attachment stripping is no longer allowed. So you cannot put them in your rigs, in your bags. So like the players tend to do this to devalue their loot total loadout value so that they could get in raids within the limit that's allowed. They tend to do attachment stripping on weapons specifically because if you factor in the vest, the helmet, it already covers almost 500,000 because how pricey it is. And then if you add in your gun, most of the time, if it's a really good gun, it's gonna exceed the limit. It's a long overdue fix, but be happy it's there. They fixed it, they applied it. Took them a long time though for some reason. To add here, because as we all know, with the test version, everything can possibly change upon their live release. So these are all from the test version from what I experienced so far. And again, the purpose of a test is to be able to gather feedback and see what they need to adjust or work on or to change in the process of releasing it in the live version of the game. Or the new season will be updated on the 30th of June. Next part of my notes here is some overall thoughts, or in my opinion, the harsh truths. First is that if they get PvE wrong, this might begin the game's steady decline. Because we've already noticed a steady decline since season 3, I think. Season 3, 4. Because players are unhappy that how much the game has changed experience-wise. And people still say season 0 was the peak ABI experience, as it was more grounded, more military themed. And looking at it, 6 seasons now has changed a lot and has embraced a more arcade identity. If they get PvE wrong, it might be a start of the decline of player base, because mostly casuals enjoy this kind of a game mode. Based from my experience, like on a middle ground here for both casuals and competitive players, the game mode is tedious. It's challenging at some points, but it's more annoying, more frustrating to play because of how these bots unrealistically are able to shoot you from meters away. Even with the crevice of a peak, they can still hit you and break your arm in a few shots. They need to get that right if they want to at least appease a specific portion of the casual player base. Next is gear cheesing. It's resolved, thankfully, but it does not fix overgearing. So I've already given an example earlier, like, yes, I'm not able to strip my guns anymore, but yet I'm still able to bring a tier 6 helmet, a tier 6 vest into lockdown. How is that a fix? So we fixed one problem, but we ignored the other one. I don't get why they're so hesitant. They're so reluctant to add tier restrictions. And I get it though. There are some disagreements with why they shouldn't do that, why they should do that. It's up to them to like balance it out. It's not just like a general opinion of most players, but it's also an opinion for top streamers, top players, that it might improve the gameplay experience. It's not shameful if you apply an idea and decide to like roll it back because, oh, we made a mistake here. The community won't flag you for that. They won't hate you for that. It's actually going to be appreciated because you're going to be very transparent. They're seeing that, oh, they're actually trying, they're actually working on it, they're actually taking into feedback. The solo duo experience doesn't exist. Although we did get a hostile sector solo mode, which was one of the most annoying raids I've played. If you mostly play solo or yearning for a duo mode, it's not gonna happen. And I also saw a video from Solo. He mentioned that squads are too big in this game. In most games that I played, like modern games, like big games like Apex, I think the squad composition of 3 players is just right. For this game, I think 4 is a bit much. This is one of the things that should have been a priority since the game's beginning. Yes, I understand, like squad raids are fun. Yes, there's like team coordination, objective like direction, and extraction shooter is also enjoyable as a solo, because not everybody wants to play with a team. Some people just want to like chill, play alone, rely on themselves. Even like a duo experience is also good. One of the best compositions you can add to a game. I also like wonder why they couldn't apply the same logic that like maybe Arc Raiders does have, where with Arc Raiders like max of three people per squad, right? But if you queue in as a duo or a solo, let's say you queue in as a solo, your raid lobby will become a solo only lobby. Then if you queue in as a duo, it will be a duo only lobby. I don't know why they can't apply that. Another harsh truth is if they introduce and heavily market more cosmetics that are not ideal for what their audience wants. I think mostly just the Western audience, because the audience from the East don't really mind, or some of the Western audience don't mind for these skins. And to be honest, if they stayed with a grounded style or theme, it will sell. It will definitely sell. It's just weird that they're applying these kinds of skins that don't really make sense, or really give off like mobile development vibes. I do understand, yes, they still need to make money. I know that argument. I get a lot of that comments. Bro, they still need to make money. Yes, 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 I understand that. They wouldn't be facing such criticism, scrutiny, or like negative feedback if they didn't have any issues to begin with. An audience, let's say a player base, they will support a game if the audience is happy. Fine, I'll buy that knight skin. Just fix matchmaking. Add a solo experience. Balance out the weapons. Like if the game overall is an enjoyable experience, your consumers, they will support it. For me, if the audience or your consumers are unhappy, less transactions will be made. I'm not saying zero because it's not gonna happen. There are whales, there are like streamers as well. Purchase these skins to promote them. And that's fine, that's normal, that's needed. But you'll get more if the general player base is happier. If I'm happy, why not? Give me that knight skin. If I'm happy, why not? Give me that lolly skin. The same weapon meta will be dominating both lockdown and forbidden zones. Although they fixed the gear stripping or attachment stripping, sorry, it's not enough. And to be honest, it's long overdue that they added that attachment stripping thing because a lot of players have abused it, made a lot of like money, dominated lobbies with that kind of a cheesy strategy. I have some followers who do that too, and like I'm not gonna name names, you know. Seeing how it is that they've only fixed that, but they didn't really apply any tier restrictions or whatever that could like prevent any overgearing. It's still gonna be the same experience. It's still gonna be the same meta experience for mostly lockdown and forbidden zone lobby. So it's nothing's really gonna change in terms of PvP, gameplay, or gunplay. You'll still see a lot of 191s. You're gonna see a lot of Matsuka helmets, even Rhino helmets and Samurai vests from time to time in your lockdown forbidden zone, and surprise, surprise, even on your normal raids. So all in all, the past 3 seasons, they feel like major patch updates. They don't really feel like a new season. The only time that I felt that it was a new season, it was season 2. Because it was like a brand new experience. We finally got Northridge, a fresh batch of weapons, a lot of new things. But since season 2, it's like they've been just recycling the same thing, the same process, the same batch of updates, same batch of like events. Like it's becoming, how you say, repetitive, routinary, something like that. When you read these updates, the same thing as last season. Every season doesn't feel new. It doesn't feel refreshing. Some people joke on this, where season 6 is basically season 4.3. It's like the game just got a major patch update or update, but didn't really introduce a new season. So that's kind of a harsh truth. But yeah, those are my harsh truths about the game. Season 6 is, again, okay. It's alright. You'll still have fun, most likely, or most of the time. But in terms of a brand new experience, no. Yes, PvE is going to be there. It's going to be added, but you'll play it for a short while and just leave it. But in terms of a new gameplay experience or what you've been yearning for since season 3, no. Still the same. I have to agree with Aima, which is like the headline of this video, where he tweeted and also posted in his community Discord, I think, that he's been feeling unmotivated to play ABI because of how things are like taking shape and the direction that they're taking. And I've also mentioned earlier that Solo also feels this way. Pretty sure other creators also feel the same way, but some of them refuse to speak out. If the best players of the game, if those people are quitting, what's gonna happen? You know, it's gonna trickle down to everybody that they've inspired, influenced, or maybe encouraged to try the game out for the first time. It kind of reflects how much the game has changed and is not appeasing the general audience anymore. It's not. I'm not saying it's the worst season, because I'm still claiming that season 5 is the worst season. But season 6 might be our beginning of the end for ABI. I want to be proven wrong. I don't like making these like claims or anything. Please, I'm begging you, please prove me wrong, More Fun Studios. Show us that this game's actually worth sticking around with. It is actually good for other games because it opens the field for other extraction games to like to take the field and actually grab all of the players. So I do have a couple of games that I can suggest you guys try. If you're into PvE, you guys can try Incursion Red River. It's about to have a big update real soon in the next months. You can try Gray Zone Warfare as more of a Tarkov-like experience, but majorly PvE with some PvP, but in some conditions only. Then this one's pretty special too. I want you guys to try No More Room in Hell 2. So this is a zombie game, yes, but it plays more like an extraction shooter as you have limited resources and key is survival. And whatever you take out is basically similar with an extraction shooter game. Then one last PvE recommendation is Road to Vostok. I play this game a lot in its like test phases. It's really good. It's more well polished now in its official release. One of the more embraced PvE extraction shooter games in today's era. For PvP, lo and behold, we're going back to EFT. EFT is actually making a comeback. We have some rumors that they're also introducing a mobile version, which is pretty good for the game. Then we also have Marathon. As much of the negative flack it's getting, you might enjoy it if you give it a try. If you haven't yet, Marathon is still pretty good for a first-person futuristic sci-fi experience. Then this one's a bit tricky here. This one, Call of Duty Modern Warfare for DMZ. I'm specifically pointing at DMZ. It's basically COD mechanics as an extraction shooter. And based from the gameplay footage they've shown on trailers, I don't know if that's true though. If it's like more grounded, more slower, but we'll have to wait and see. And last PvP recommendation is Hunt Showdown. So this one's more of a preference thing. If you prefer weapons that are more or less single fire, because there's not much automatic firing here in Hunt Showdown. It plays more on precision, strategy, and like the usage of your utilities. And I have a couple of similar games, similar vibes, but not necessarily extraction shooters, except for one. So one is that I've been talking about on stream is War Dogs. A different take on the massive arena shooter experience, like similar to Battlefield. Whereas like two factions, I think, will be fighting and it factors every single action that you take. Let's say you revive a teammate, you get paid. You kill someone, you get paid. Maybe I don't know if they have repairing a car, but that's an example. If you repair your military truck, you get paid. And like there's this steady flow of money where like it revolves around the gameplay. So it's really interesting and I'm really looking forward to try it. Then one I've tried this past week on a demo, it's Method of Entry. It's basically Rainbow Six without any like advanced technology. Very grounded fighting or 5v5 I think, tactical shooter. Right now its demo is more focused on its like basic functionalities, movement, shooting range, the utilities and such. I am very excited to try out the PvP experience when it finally comes out. And lastly is Beautiful Light. This one's an extraction shooter with a tag of, get this, PvPVEVP. So that's 3 Ps. So in this extraction shooter coming this December of this year, it's going to be player versus environment versus player, because there are factors of you're fighting other operators, you're fighting anomalies or alien-like creatures in the environment, and then you're also fighting the same creatures as players. So players can also play as the creatures that you can like fight. Objective based. Another different take on the extraction shooter genre, which everybody should be excited for. Okay, so those are the games. Get you, if you like some of those, give them a try. If you have some ideas of other games, feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah, let's share some of our final thoughts. I'm still very hopeful that things turn around for season 6 or for ABI in general as a whole. But please, more fun studios, you need to act fast. You need to do something. Do something. More fun studios needs to do something. And my light turned off. More fun studios needs to do something. They need to change something real quick. Unless they don't care, the game's just gonna die soon. This opens the field for every other aspiring development studio who are working on an extraction game, or even a good comeback for older titles like Escape from Tarkov. I'm actually looking forward to see gameplay of that new game they're developing, the Fragmentary Order. It's basically Space Tarkov, and they say it's harder than EFT. I need to turn on my light. So in the end, let's end with something positive here. In the end, we're all winners here. Why? Because we have so much games we could play now. We have so much games in terms of the extraction shooter genre, or PvE specifically, PvP. Like, you take your pick. There's a good game available for you. And even if it's not extraction shooter based, if it's just tactical or similar to like military teams, enjoy it. There's so many games out there, and I know ABI gave us like a quality of life rich version of EFT, but this is not the only game in the world. That's what I'm saying here. You guys always deserve better, and I feel like ABI hasn't been giving you the best. These are all my thoughts. I'd rather know about yours. If you guys have thoughts about the discussion today or the direction that ABI is taking, if you played the test version of season 6, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Please join my live streams. I really appreciate the chatters in there. And yeah, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for your time again. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.